In this video, we're going to begin developing the quiz engine that I've made. This will help us put into practice all the things that we learned over the purpose of the next 4 videos is to demonstrate build finish. And I want to start off by talking about the process that we're going to use to develop this application. Process each hour or so to demonstrate how instead, I'm just going to hit the highlights, much like watching. So be able to download the source code, look through it during that snapshot. Okay, so let's talk about the process we'll use to develop our application. Now, most developers within a corporate setting. One it outlines the steps that are required to build an application with team members. Boils down to some pretty basic steps. First, start developing the application according to your plan. Application. Now in the MSF, these 5 steps are repeated several times. This is called an iteration. So think of our time and perhaps at the end of the series you might want to take on additional iterations on input from your users. Now, documents and so on. Since we're really just doing this recreationally, someday work for a company that employs a process, it's not going to be just as easy as a weeks or even months of envisioning and planning happen before the first line of all that. Still, we want to be somewhat structured so we have a clear idea of what is built. Let's start with envisioning our solution. As I stated at the outset, we want to build a quiz engine. Take quizzes, then allow them to take the quiz, which for now then and have the results saved so that they can see when I want to make this skinnable so that other people who want to sheet and the graphics and so on. And then finally, I'm going to want to I have some other goals in creating this application. For starters, use as many as possible, only when it makes sense to do so. And so the goal that I have is that I want to try and write these are not realistic goals. You don't always get to for a client or for your company. They may have certain things that by your tool set. So that's a luxury that I have. And also, since we're just doing this recreationally, we uh, application for a low volume website. Now, I've worked on projects that required thousands of concurrent users. So again, this is a luxury that I have is just to see many of these ideas that we've discussed in previous 10 lessons as scenario as we could possibly make it, but it'll work for our vision involves having a vision. I'd like to build an application things that we'd like to see in our application. And now that I have some mental notes, I'm going to at this point, I'm going to start jotting down some thoughts, maybe otherwise I might go about this differently. But as I begin to jot down to create a new password, to retrieve their password, to change their after the user is able to log in, she should be able to see all of the results of the tests that she has taken in the past in some sort of tabular fashion. Now, with to take it, she should be basically taken to the test and she'll pick one of these and then click the next button. Now, you've seen these types of quizzes before, I'll assume. Display, and she'll be able to click on one of the questions in that list and for the correct answer somewhere on that same page. So as I begin the design phase in our project, and so at this point, I need to help understand the basic flow. I'll draw the layout for each web page so I can see a tech mockup. Just basically, again, drawing it on it's a I might ask a friend who's a graphic artist if eye for design that my friend Dustin has. So I'm going to explain page. Get them get an idea of what I plan on delivering to them. So, but in this case, is not an issue, right? Because we're just a or so. Look, helped me to mock up and fairly quickly. So here's kind of a master page that he created so I could click on each of 4 page designs. First of all, we have the login page, and that should be fairly straightforward. And that 2.0 login, so this may not be so applicable, but we may be able to add in some of these design elements like this little line and this head bar and some of the text as well. We'll have to think through that. Then this main menu is really helpful. You can see here that we have this little text at the top with the name of the person who's logged in, the option to log out. Again, our little title bar, a list of available tests. That's nice. Also, then the test result history in a table, and we just have like one entry here, but we can see, how many questions and what the percentage correct was and when it was completed and what the name of the test was. So that's really helpful. I think that is something we can accomplish. Then the actual result page, we may want to rework this a little bit. You can see here that we have a kind of a columnar list of the question and whether it was right or wrong. I may want to expand this a little bit, but it gives me something to work with. I can think through some of these things. I may not use the same colored text and things of that nature, but it gives me an idea of what I can accomplish. And then finally here we'll take a look at each test page. And we've already uh, or rather, we're going to talk about some reasons why this may not work from a technical perspective, and some of my particular goals, but it does give me a good idea that I'm trying to achieve. And I'm able to copy since I asked him to keep it simple, I think I can get this pretty close. But his work has definitely helped me get a better idea of build what that I'm going to build and so for me, it's back to the drawing board to make notes and try some things out. As I'm thinking through the development of this application, I that part will be a piece of cake. Next, I need to I know what I would like to do, but I'm not sure that the ASP to display the question and each of the four. I those in there. I can edit the template and insert a question in my own mind. What I'll do is pop open Visual Web Developer and create a test project where I can work through some of these ideas. So let's go ahead and take a look at this little quiz project created using C Sharp. And again, I did this just to test some theories and some ideas. This will not be the final project. In fact, I'm going to throw this each answer. A So I'd use this wizard control to create a series of panels, and basically on each panel, every time I wanted to create a new quiz, I would need to basically go in and add or remove wizard steps. Then on each wizard step, I would need to create new controls, and then each time the user clicked the next or button, we so so roles that I want So this is basically the little test that I came up with. And essentially, I'd be using a drop-down list box to allow the user to select their answer, whether answer 1, 2, 3, or 4. That that align to the various questions. And started to test the possibility of just placing radio buttons next to where I think the questions and the answers will be rendered by my uh, details view control. If with the first idea that I have. And was that I would store the questions in an XML file. But there were two concerns that realized that it'd be easier to have the quiz and question data in a yes, I could have still made it work, but this is where my own personal biases. I opt for the database solution over XML. Now, my second was that file's URL, they could potentially just pop it open in another browser. Tended to be testing software for certifications and so on. Uh, so I'm right now. So again, on a sheet of paper, I start comparing it to my mock-ups to see if the right data is being saved. Now, finally, I need to think about how I'm going to save state between each uh, of the user is, and then moving on to the next question. User answers. So each time the user clicks the next button, it would with associated username and the current question ID. I'm not going to allow people to review a historical record of their text to every. Also, I don't want to hit the database each and every time some. So I consider storing everything in the profile of the user is to store this data. The profile object is meant to store to the test in the session object. Now, in the past, you're just And the reason you were discouraged from using the session object was due to memory constraints. Pretty big things into the session, and that would take up a lot of the memory of the server. And that refers to the days before .NET came out. The when it came out, the session was fixed, and we're told that it's even been enhanced in object for storing the data is storing the state as I go from one page. Popular, which means I probably would need to revisit this application. But to use, that's going to wind up saving me a lot of time.